Look at this. I got headphones on. I got a mic going. Baby.
If
Huh?
only people could see you now.
Hey, no video. We've gone through this before.
All right,
No
all right,
video.
all right. Welcome to This Commerce Life. This is a podcast aimed at small, medium entrepreneurs focused on commerce. I'm Phil, your host, and Kenny, your co-host, will join us as well. And we're going to talk to you about the world of retail and commerce and how things are changing in the world. There you are.
Hey, Phil, how are you?
Hey, how are you?
It's been a long time.
I know.
You look like you're in one of those, I don't even want to say what it looks like you're in.
Yeah.
One of those S&M rooms or something.
No.
Not that I know what it looks like, but you know.
Yeah. This is the studio. I'll give you a small tour. The piano we moved because my daughter wants to use it, so it's in her room.
Mm-hmm.
Grab that camera, and then you can kind of see. So the room kind of looks like that. The moving blankets are there. That's what you see in the background.
Right.
And then that's kind of where I sit. And then usually right here, right where this avocado pillow is, there's a piano here.
Okay.
So we moved, it's an electric piano. We moved it because my daughter wants it in her room.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got that upstairs, but otherwise we kind of got like, lots of music equipment and mics and stuff like that. This is where we sing, and then this is where I podcast from. So I actually work from here most days, actually.
Yeah, I work from home, so this is my office as well. So I just love the fact that how together your family is. I think it's really quite touching and beautiful because it's, for us, typical European. No one did anything. You just worked, and that was the end of that. So.
Yeah.
But no, you know what? These are things that your kids are going to remember for the rest of their lives, and they're going to carry that on to their own families too. So
I hope
a nice
so.
Thing.
Yeah. You hope so. I mean, we were the same, right? Like my parents were first generation immigrants here, so it was all about like, if you fed the family and actually if you fed the family, that was, that's it.
That was it. Hey, Kenny.
All the others.
We're just talking about European upbringing where it was, they worked and that was the end of that. It's you don't need anything beyond the fact that I feed you food and give you a roof over your head.
Yeah. See, the difference is, so both your parents are European, Linda?
Yeah, they're immigrants from Austria and Hungary.
And Phil, you're both are Chinese.
Yeah, Hong Kong.
Right.
Fled from China and then grew up in Hong Kong, yeah.
So my dad is obviously from Italy, but the youngest of three, so complete mama's boy, so spoiled rotten. And then my mom's Canadian, right? So my grandmother was born in Canada.
Oh, wow.
And then my mom was born in Canada. So her family were the first Doukhobors that came over from whether it was Georgia or in the Ukraine at that time.
Okay.
So my mom's already, obviously, now Canada has been in their blood since my grandmother was, like 1919 was my grandmother. Yeah. So in our house, like Christmas, even though my dad was was Italian, my dad wanted to be more Canadian. So tried to speak English, took the English courses. Like we had fucking 12,000 gifts under the tree. Yep. So we were spoiled rotten, like I won't say that. My mom and dad, my mom might listen to the show, but we were spoiled rotten. I don't want to say that just because we didn't want to stop, like pretend, we always thought we figured it out. We don't get spoiled anymore because Daniel tonight called me a mama's boy after I called him. Look what I learned from. I think, what are you talking about? So we grew up differently. We were totally more Canadianized.
But your mom makes biscotti.
My mom cooks better Italian food than any of my Italian relatives. And I shit you not, better than any of the Italian relatives, any desserts or any food. Literally, my mom's way more Italian than a lot of them.
Huh.
In terms of food, anyway.
Yeah. If you got Doukhobor, did any of your family wind up? Where is that in BC? Where is it where?
My mom was Grand Forks.
Oh, okay, Grand Forks.
And her cousins were a lot in Castlegar. Right. And then the Sons of Freedom, which was the sect that would do all the burnings and stuff. were up toward Nakusp, New Denver, like up in that area. Okay. I mean, still all West Kootenays. Pardon me, but yeah. So that's our family. Like we grew up. Me and my brother, like even in school. Okay, outside of like we had the greasy bags, going to the lunch bags, going to school, like every Italian kid should, right? And all the white kids like had fucking bologna and Wonder bread, like
peanut butter.
Our moms were all making bread like at 5 o'clock in the morning. So we had fresh bread every day. Like we had cutlet sandwiches. Like it was awesome, right?
We had homemade soup every day. We had soup, mains, a salad, and then usually something for dessert every freaking
same with
day.
us. Like we ate like kings and queens, like perpetually. And that's European Chinese. Food is critical, right?
I begged and begged and begged for just a straight ham sandwich because I would bring these thermoses with rice and shit in them, and like it'd be so embarrassing, right? Because I was the only Asian kid, right? Like so, I was just like
in Trail, so half Italian, Phil. So half the kids who didn't have the greasy lunch bags. Yeah. All wanted the greasy lunch bags. Yeah. And it's funny, like, because we had bologna in the house. Yeah. Like we had, like, none of my Italian cousins or friends, none of them knew what bologna was because their parents didn't understand the concept of bologna or hot dog. Yeah. My mom's Canadian. Yeah. So we had it both ways, right? Oh. But you could trade like, you could trade a cutlet sandwich to a white kid for big money, man. Like you could get 6 lunches out of that easy.
Ours was like that. Like it was so embarrassing, right? Like
we wanted rice. I mean, that's so
my mom says to me, "Why do we buy all these brown bags? You just throw them out every day." So you know what? And like our house was this huge Peak Freens family, and so like she started to pack my lunches in the Peak Freen bags, right? Because she's like, these bags are amazing. They never break, and I'm like, God, this is so embarrassing, right? So I'd have to put it in another plastic bag. Like, just because kids are like, are you eating cookies for lunch? Like, did you just have a whole bag of Peak Freens? And you're like, oh, God.
If you had been in the Asian school, it's all the same. It's like if you're in an Italian school, if you're in the Hungarian school, then the food becomes similar. It's like, well, that's the same thing. Right. I remember best story. So Mrs. Guercio was like my mom. She was Canadian. Like, and Joe, the father, was Italian, like my dad. And the kids were a thing. But Sandro, unfortunately, passed away. He got ALS in his late teens and passed away young. But Sandro used to come to school. And Mrs. Guercio would cut the apple like in 8 and not put it in a saran and do that. Each piece in its own and skewer.
Wow.
What do you call it? An orange would come peeled. Yeah. None of that white shit on it, and all nice in little bags, like everything tidy.
Yeah, seriously. No, we had the metal lunch boxes with whatever was the flavor of the day, and then you had that thermos inside there with the milk that would never stay cold.
Oh, and it was
Those
so
are amazing!
putrid.
Come on, the thing with the handle that holds the big round thermos on the inside.
Yeah. But that was only good if you had chocolate milk, right? Because chocolate milk you could eat warm; it wasn't as bad. White milk, like, wow,
it's horrible.
You couldn't swallow it.
The trials and tribulations we went through, right?
But you know what? Holidays were always good. I mean, when I married Amelia, or we started going out, because her mom and dad were Italian as well. Like, so for Thanksgiving or Easter, Christmas, like there was no turkey. They didn't understand the concept of turkey because nobody in Italy cooked a turkey, right? What the hell's a turkey? Yeah. Who gives a shit? It's a big stupid bird.
Yeah.
But you could cook rabbit, you could do goat, you could do lamb, you could do, lasagna, cutlets. So like a whole different thing. So when our family comes in, like Amelia's now down for ham and turkey with stuffing, and then we go over to our mom's and do the lasagna, and that was awesome, man.
We only did Christmas Eve as kids. We only did Christmas Eve. Christmas Day was more for like visiting family and stuff like that, but it was never our thing. My mom we used to go and see
Canadian mom.
We used to go to the Van Dusen Gardens or somewhere to see the House of Lights. And so we'd be waiting in the car. Come on, Mom, let's go. The sooner we get home, the sooner Santa comes. And so my mom would come out and she'd always be like shoveling food in her face. Like, what are you doing? It didn't dawn on me. She was eating those cookies that we left out for Santa. And we come home and miraculously Santa miraculously came early to our house, like about 7:30 or something like that.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Well, at that time you didn't have NORAD to worry about, so you didn't know where Santa really was, right?
No.
Now the kids like, oh my God, you got to get them to sleep. Okay, listen, Santa's almost here. You got to go to bed. He's not coming.
Yeah. Oh my
like, and he only does the block once. He's not going to come back. So you got to, That's so funny.
Wouldn't it be nice to go back to those days, though?
To some degree, I guess. Yeah, it was pretty good.
The innocence, the fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then now it's the same. I mean, this year's going to be a bizarre year, I guess. But
yeah,
I don't know. Christmas is kind of fun.
It could be worse.
Say, I love it because I've been sending gifts via Amazon or online delivery, so I don't need a gift wrap because I suck at that, right? And then, quite honestly, I've gotten a bunch of like boxes at my door, like cardboard boxes with my name on it, and I'm just like, this is good. I'm like,
that's awesome.
I'm okay with the wrapping. I'm good like this. I like it, So
you know why? That's the mom in you. Why you waste the money on the wrap?
Yeah.
My mother-in-law used to save it.
You're being earth friendly.
Sure.
All that wrapping paper can't do us any good. So
yeah.
But who wants to save it?
I know.
The whole point was to rip through it as absolutely. You wanted to barrel through that, right? Just to get to the good stuff. Yeah. Anyway, that's funny.
So we have the boss on tonight.
We haven't had the boss on in a long time.
God, we're recording already.
Oh yeah, we've been recording from the beginning.
This is the beginning.
Okay. Linda's childhood memories.
Well, by now you should be used to us. I mean, that we start recording. I have no idea where it's going to go anyway. So
I thought being the boss, I'd have some privileged, quiet time with the boys and just have a little chit chat.
No, you don't get.
But it's nice to see you guys. It really is nice to see you guys. You guys, and like I keep saying, I know. It's I've been working from home. As soon as we hit COVID, they said we don't want you in the office. I was, I have rheumatoid arthritis, and so we consider that as an autoimmune thing, and so therefore I'm the one that's going to drag crap into the. It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, but I love it. I preferred to work from home for the longest time.
Yeah.
So had done so for about 15 years prior. So it was nice to get back to just staying at home, and I'm at my desk by 6:30, 7 in the morning, and finished when I'm finished, and it's a good thing. We've been so busy. So busy.
This is why we were talking about you last week. We kind of thought, I wonder how she's doing like in COVID, because you're in a whole different industry. Like Phil and I have talked to retailers or people within retail CPG, like that's already developed. So last week, I think it was one of those things we thought, I wonder how she's doing. Like, are people still making things? Do they want things made?
Yeah. We did not miss a beat. We went soon as all of a sudden everybody's going into lockdown because we're essential, because we made hand sanitizer. So that, but right. That there was, the clients that really suffered were those who had spas and salon type stuff.
Right.
So those are the only ones where we had a little bit of challenge, but they're not the core of our business. So that was really good. And all of a sudden, everybody wanted hand sanitizer. The challenge was getting the alcohol. And then when you got the alcohol, you can get the carbomer to make the gel.
Yeah.
And then when you finally got them, they were jacking up the price left, right, and center. The prices were just all over the board.
Yeah.
You couldn't get a bottle, couldn't get a pump, couldn't get a cap, couldn't get anything. The only thing you could do was you had the labor, you had all the labor you wanted to throw at it. It was great. So it really took everybody by surprise because, COVID shut down, a couple of the clients, but then all the business, we got like 23% of our new business this year total business was COVID, hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
So that's good. Are we going to see it next year?
But how do you, my question is going to be, that's great, but how do you comp that number?
You don't, but we've been very fortunate. And then in that, while it's been quiet, some of the people that we have been ramping things up to get ready for next year to make the recovery. Because we have some larger retail clients. And that's what we spent the time doing with them while their sales were kind of slow at retail. They were doing really good online sales and try and build up that market as well.
Right.
So, but we were also doing a whole bunch of planning launches for 2021. How that's going to go is kind of going to be interesting to see. But we had a lot of one-hit wonders with the hand sanitizer. So by the time everybody, and that's what you saw, by the time you saw everybody get all their alcohol and carbomer, the ones that were doing it in a Health Canada environment, everybody had to take a little bit longer than the distilleries and those types of people who could just, it was like a heyday. It was basically anybody who could make anything, doesn't matter if you had French on your label, you know, they issued the NPNs literally within 3 to 5 days, which is unheard of. Unheard of. Plants were getting inspected to get their site licenses within 5 days, you know, and it was quite, you know, here we work so hard to do it because that's what we do for a living. But it was really interesting to see. So you had a lot of clients who thought, and one of them was one of your friends, and they said, okay, maybe we should get into hand sanitizer. And the smart ones who weren't in that world shouldn't have gone in it. They shouldn't. The ones that weren't in that one should not have gone in it, because the ones that did went in, and by the time they all got product, it was flooded. It was flooded from Mexico. It was flooded from China, Korea, Saudi. And the problem with those, half of those are the ones that got recalled because they were garbage hand sanitizers. So we had a good chunk of people, probably of that 23% of our business, probably a good half of that, they were the ones that were the one-hit wonders. And the other half were some people that actually knew what they were doing. We have some that we'll see again next year, and we're continuing because they got some institutional sales, because they were smart about it. They went about a different way where they weren't looking to go into retail, because you've been to Walmart, you've seen the pallet loads of hand sanitizer.
And also been to SARS.
Even London, exactly. Even London. You know, every end aisle display had hand sanitizer in it, and it was any and every brand you could ever think of. So now we're seeing things obviously level off. We still have a good chunk of business, but again, it's nowhere near what it was. But these guys, a lot of them lost. They lost some money because they couldn't sell it. Because then what had happened was you had people like Jean Coutu in the East saying, well, I've been buying Purell for 99 cents.
Yeah.
I can't buy your stuff at $1.50 or whatever, because people are going to think I'm gouging. They're not gouging. And that was it. No one ever gouged. We just couldn't get, it was the suppliers, it was the raw material suppliers that were gouging us.
Yeah.
And so you couldn't get into there. And, you know, and there's no way you're going to just, you couldn't even sell it at a loss, you know, because it was just ridiculous.
I worry because I think there's still more to come, right? Like you think of, you know, if the smart ones who got in it planfully maybe is getting their, you know, they planned their exit and they're out, you know, either they've sold it and they're out, or they've figured out the institutional sales and they're in. But I'm starting to hear that stuff. Somebody told me a story about that today. Someone in the US who has, you know, a commitment with a national grocer in the US. He's holding on to something like 40,000 bottles because that's the contract he has, except the grocer has said, you know what, sales aren't coming in anymore. You know, like this stuff's everywhere. Everybody's got it. You know, I don't know. I can't comment on the product and how good it is, but you know, we've bought some very awful hand sanitizer as well that you're kind of like, I'm never buying. Like I took a picture just so that I know I'm never buying that label again if it ever shows up somewhere. Yeah. So I worry that the first half of next year is a bunch of these guys then going out of business or stuck with.
It's a chance you took though, Phil.
Yeah.
I told people, I tried to discourage people. Sorry, Lynn. I tried to discourage people. I remember SARS.
Yeah.
I was buying the category of SARS.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, between masks, gloves, and hand sanitizer, and SARS was not near what obviously what COVID was, but it was scary for a short term. We had product for 2 years. Yeah. I know there's retailers sitting on a year plus of product. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, but you know what? You took the chance. I tried to discourage people that asked me about Linda, and I said, well, here's the number, here you call her. But if you weren't in it already, to me, if you want to do a hand sanitizer, you needed to be on it on January 25th when we started hearing the noise, and you needed to have something within a month.
Yeah,
then you were going to
get tight, right?
Like, but if you were April 15th, May 1st,
you were too late. Too late for the game.
That train left the station, my friends. It's gone.
So what some people wound up doing is because they couldn't get bottles and caps and pumps and stuff, they wound up going into tubes. And so I got a brilliant idea, I'll get tubes. And so the problem with tubes is you have to buy an MOQ of say 10,000.
Exactly.
So you know, and it's and even for us, because every time we make an MTN product, we have to test it, residual solvents, pesticides, and heavy metals. That's pricey. That's easily can tack on, depending on how much you can tack on 50 cents to a bottle.
Absolutely.
No, and they don't. But the thing is you had the distilleries that didn't have to do that because there was no time. So it was just, you know, get it on out. And so how come you're so much cheaper? And it's like, well, first off, I'm using, you know, USP grade ethyl alcohol.
Stuff really crappy, like really terrible.
It wasn't meant for that. It was, we were in a pinch. We needed products, so they were allowed to do it because it would serve the purpose.
Any of the ones that stink, those are the ones. They're all grain alcohols, but those ones. They're food grade alcohols, but those ones are from grain. Anything that's from corn doesn't smell.
Right.
So any of the really stinky ones, that's what you're getting for those ones. And so then you got people, you try and put some more fragrance or an aroma in there too, and that just adds to the cost, because then you have to add another ingredient to make it soluble. There's all kinds of things that go with it. So, but yeah, it's funny because the ones that I talked to that were friends of yours, and I said, what did Kenny say? Did he say it was a good thing for you to do? And they said, no, they recommended not.
I don't think it's a good idea. I just think if you weren't in it, you know, again, we didn't know how long this was going to run. And it didn't matter because people are opportunistic. And it's always the same. If you're the fourth guy in on a category like that, there's going to be 60 by the time you're ready. And you're all going to be fighting for the same 3 inches of shelf. And luckily, we sold a lot of hand sanitizer as a society. I think we stopped using it per se, but I think people still use it. We use it when we go into stores, but I don't carry it with me because, you know, well, we just don't go out a lot. So, And that was the other thing, right? It is what it is.
So it's the places like the schools, the nursing homes, the hospitals, those types of places. But then you also have the scenario where the ones that are made with alcohol, you can't just donate it to certain places because it'll be drunk, and that's just not good either. Even though it says do not drink. It is what it is. So exactly. And that's the hard part.
So I was on the Purell business during SARS, and we spent a lot of time trying to convince retailers not to order us, you know, like all of it. You're just like, just calm down, all right? We promise you we've got supply, we've got this much, you're getting your share, you know, all that stuff. And then, but that was a concern the whole time, was like Purell and Listerine. Listerine was the other one because that was part of the J&J business. And you just worry so much, right? Like we'd actually start watching the business to see like when you'd see more than usual go out the door, you know, that was your first phone call going, hey, like, do you have particular stores that are selling out of this stuff? And like, where are they?
Downtown East Side?
Can we show you a lock and key method that might be really good for you? Like, can we?
I worked for a company. We used to do isopropyl alcohol. We used to do lots of that got locked behind the counter depending on where you were. We used to do like an electrolyte product. So anywhere where there's a detox, I remember going to stores with the sales reps, and they'd be walking out with bottles because it was all covered by various beneficiaries, and so they wouldn't have to pay for any of it. But you're right. We used to do glucose dextrose, and apparently I don't know these things, but they cut it with cocaine. And so I remember many a times when they'd be on the news showing a bottle of Stanley brand glucose dextrose, and some guy going, we use it to cut our coke. So we're famous.
Even pseudoephedrine, right? They use it for crack. Right? You're going, come on, you know, like.
but it's funny. But I remember back in the day, it was the exact same thing where people, you know, you get calls from Brazil saying, you know, we'd like to buy some tablets of pseudoephedrine, and we're just going to sell it in bulk, or we're gonna put it in blister packs down here. Okay, so you ship down tubs, drums of it, and then all of a sudden it's like ding ding ding, Brazil ephedrine. Yeah.
I wonder what kind of lab.
After that, because my name was on all the export documents, guess who got tagged at the border every single time?
You're a drug dealer at that point.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
wow.
But
Good thing you refused the return shipment, because
funny enough, that stuff didn't come back. But yeah, so we did see that, and I feel bad for those who went in it, because everybody was trying to do what they could, and so we did everything we could. We had to load up on some of the ingredients that we knew were hard to come by. And so we're actually sitting on some stuff that we can't do it. Then we would bring in some alcohol, and it would come in, and it would be the stinky one. So it would be, even though that the supplier said, okay, here's a sample, and then you get the
bait and switch
seven totes, which is 7 tons of alcohol, and all of a sudden it's alcohol. Like, geez, that's the stinky one. You can't do anything with it. We didn't want to do anything with it, because it was, we didn't like it. But you saw everywhere you went, you always saw a stinky, cheap hand. Like, you walk into Safeway, and that's the one that you're getting. That's now my, when you go into the retail stores and you're looking for things in your industry, and that's the first thing, you go and you pump oh man, not that one. I don't like that one.
But at that point, remember, at that time, everybody was buying what they could. Nobody cared.
Yeah.
Did you find anything else, Linda? Was it just hand sanitizer, or how would hand soaps and things like that do?
Which is really weird. We actually made some Christmas gifts for some of our clients, where we did a little, we did a nice hand sani with a nice hand wash and a nice hand lotion, because that's all everyone's complaining about, is that the alcohol is drying out everybody's hand. And that was nice. But we didn't see a lot of requests for soap, which in my eyes, it should have been the first thing that they went to, because that's all they were saying from the beginning. We've known that all along. Soap and water is your best friend.
I had retailers asking me, I'm thinking, guys, when am I going to get soap?
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
well, you can make it in your tub pretty much, but it's not the same.
It's not good for it's not good for retailer though. But it was hard. It was hard to just get hand soap. Just good hand soap, because again, rubbing the alcohol is nice when you're out. When you're home, you don't. Just wash your hands. Many times. Do it like farm assistants. Just wash all day.
Yeah, but the problem, even the nurses and stuff like that, for the ones that are
sick or as sick.
Yeah, so they're using things like chlorhexidine and things like that to, and it eats away at their hands. But it's interesting though, because the challenge with, even if someone comes to me with, I need to have a hand soap, the problem with that is people are used to buying it for $1.99. They're buying the stuff in the whatever, Unilever is making cajillions of bottles. We're not making cajillions. We're making, a few, 3, 4, 5,000 bottles.
Yeah, it's boutique at that point.
Of course, but what we were, and people aren't spending money on that. Which is fine, and I get that, but it was nice to see though that we had some clients that are buying strictly for donation, which is always nice.
That's nice.
So it's like we give out jugs, and we give out bottles to wherever you can. We gave it to we have a lot of good churchgoers at work, so a lot of them took it to their churches. And to senior homes, because a lot of them have 2 jobs, and so a lot of them work in nursing homes. So we wound up doing, that ourselves, because it's nothing that we would ever sell. We're not in that business. We just do the contract manufacturing. But so it was really the rush. It was incredible, just the amount of interaction every day. You couldn't open an email without seeing that. The year before it was all, I want to make CBD products. Okay, it's not legal yet. You can't do topicals with CBD. And so that's all you're peppered with. And then you have that span of 3 or 4 months. People, all they're asking is that. And you go, do you have bottles? I've been trying to find some, which is why you saw a lot of liquid sanitizers in vinegar bottles. Any kind of bottle that anybody could get from like the wholesalers and stuff like that. That's what they were using. And they would look funny and they'd look silly, and then people are looking at it. Then Health Canada came out and said, okay, now you got to start, you have to make sure that you have French on the label, because they were forgiving that for a while. Okay, now you have to make sure that you are not using a beverage looking type bottle, because a lot of the liquor store or the distilleries were using things that looked like alcohol. And so and slowly but surely, and I can see probably next year, early next year, maybe Q1, Health Canada revoking the licenses or permissions to do it in the distilleries, because they had a different formula to follow. We had existing formulas and NPN, so that was fine. Mm-hmm. But they had to follow the World Health Organization formulation, which is completely different, using a bit of hydroperoxide and all kinds of things like that. So it was completely different for what they had to do. But we shipped a lot to States as well.
Yeah, is there an export market for this, I guess?
There was.
Yeah.
There was. Yeah.
There was a lot of things in it. There was.
Yeah.
There still might be, though. I mean, COVID, and then, there's like, we have the benefit of staying home. You think of places like India, where India's practically moved on, right? Like they've accepted the death toll the way it is and the rate of death. And then, like a lot of the population there has just said, look, we've got to move on, right? The economics is going to trump mortality rates. Mm-hmm. And so you got to think like in places like that, I don't know what their hand sanitizer market is or anything like that, but there might be some room to be able to ship some stuff over there. Like, maybe some proper grade stuff, I guess.
It's income though. You still need the money to buy it. You got to remember, like in those places, not saying India as a whole, but in a lot of the parts where poverty does run amok. Yeah. I mean, what do you give a shit about washing your hands?
Well, when you just want to eat. But look at the condition they're living in as well.
Sure, so their issues.
It's tough, but like it's funny that you really don't hear a lot. Before, remember when we started out, everyone's like, "Look what's happening in Italy. Look what's happening in France. Look what's happening," and that's all you heard. Now it's just like we're all focused on us, and we're all focused on what our scenarios. Like we're not in lockdown. Quasi is please don't travel, please. That's our lockdown.
Listen to this show. Okay. Do us a favor and stop traveling. Like for the love of
I know.
God, right?
Even for this Christmas, please. Yeah. Well, we've canceled lots of trips too this year. We had canceled trips.
Just stay home.
For this Christmas, it's one Christmas, guys.
It's
one mass. You can watch it find it on the video.
Like, we have stories of people driving like an hour, 90 minutes outside of our region to go shopping because somehow they can't contain themselves. And you're kind of going, the whole point of locking down a region is so you don't drive out and infect another region.
Or bring it back.
It seems
exactly.
Come on, guys.
We don't understand this. I don't understand.
It's us being a selfish society. This is the generation of people that if we were at war, you would not have, back in World War II, kids were signing up at 16, 17 because I'm going to fight for my country and I'm going to fight for this, that.
Yeah.
Now, no freaking way. No one's going to volunteer to die.
What's in it for me?
Well, that's get on TikTok maybe.
Yeah, don't laugh. That's true.
Instagram,
that's sad in its own right.
A bunch of signups, but yeah.
But it's hard, right? We had a trip to Tofino early December. We canceled it because it just started at the travel ban. So I rebooked and booked it for early January. Fingers crossed. Had to cancel that one as well. So I booked one for the end of, because in Tofino I've been in their hospital. That's not a place you want to go. Yeah.
No.
It's a dinky little hole in the wall. No offense to Tofino. I love Tofino, but their hospital is crap.
I also think that we don't understand. Like I think, the common person doesn't understand how thin things are. Like so I have a friend. I've known him and his wife. I've known them separately, and I've known them married. I've known them since university, right? So well over 30 years. They adopted 3 kids. The kids were going to school, and they think they got it from school, but both of them got COVID. They think they got it from the kids because the school had an outbreak. By the time they brought the kids home, they think they picked it up. The husband was really, 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 really sick, but stayed home, managed to kind of like keep this household running. She had to get rushed to ICU. She was in a regional hospital. Just they didn't really know what they were doing, right? Doing the best they could, but didn't really know what they're doing. She's now like in Toronto General. She's on what they call the ECMO unit, which is like the last line of defense, right? It's kind of horrendous and amazing, like technology. They stick. I'm going to hack this up, so there are doctors that listen to us. I apologize, but basically they stick something in your vein, and they draw blood out of you. They oxygenate to the blood, and then they put it back into another major artery. That's how they're keeping her what they call critically stable. And you kind of go, okay, and so I'm, we're trying to help him, right? Because we're deathly afraid of catching what he has, but we understand, like, he's got 3 kids, he's sick, it hurts to move, right? So we're cooking food, we're leaving it on his like doorstep. And so I'm learning about this ECMO thing, and I realize, like, there's 1 ECMO unit for all of Ontario. So 14 million people in Toronto, there's 1 unit. It supports up to, I think the number is, I could be wrong, but it's like 50 or 56 people on 1 machine. And that's it. That's it.
Wow.
And so you kind of look at all the infection rates now and you go, what the hell, right? Like, she holds one of these spots, right? And nobody's getting in until she she comes off the machine one way or another, right? Like, literally they don't know which way she's coming off the machine, but nobody else is getting in until she comes off the machine.
How terrible is that, though, eh?
Like, that's the math you're working with, right? Like, it's kind of crazy,
Just the thought of it, when it's so hard. I get it on the seniors, and that's a challenging thing. When I think back 2 years ago, my dad was sick right around Christmas, and he had a pulmonary fibrosis. Had this happened during his time, it would have killed him. But the thing was, he would have had to go in the hospital, and that would have been it. He would have died alone. And the thought of it just kind of makes me sick to think about that. But it's it frightens me when you see, like I said, we're here, we're not in lockdown, and it's just the way it is, and that's fine. Most of the people seem to be behaving, with the exception of people in the valley who seem to feel it necessary to go to their place of worship, and then who knows where they're going the next day.
And what's sad about that is the people, the person they worship, because most of them are certain denominations, the person they worship is sitting up there thinking, seriously? That's how you treat your fellow man, seriously? Did you listen to anything, all those Sundays?
Being selfish.
Did you think this through? That's really what I said to do, was go infect people. Come on, guys.
And that's
it's 1 year. It's out of our lives. It's not the end of the world.
And all you have to do is show restraint. You just need to restrain yourselves. That's all you got to do. You
go online, do Zoom, figure it out.
You're not gonna like we like, look at us, right? We're sitting at home. We're pretty good lives. All you got to do is restrain yourselves.
Exactly. It's not that complicated.
And I get it. It's we're obviously privileged to a certain degree, but we also we all had jobs, and we really didn't suffer us. But even at work, so we the bulk of our staff would be on the bus, so we immediately carpooled everybody, because to take them off the bus, we obviously got big vans so that we could sit apart a little bit, but that's what we did. A lot of people have second jobs. We asked them to stop their second jobs, and what we wound up doing was giving them longer hours so that they would make up for their second job. And so we did everything we could.
What else can you do?
Really, that's what you
do.
Well, it was, I'm very fortunate in the company that I work with. It's very family oriented. We brought in temps because of all the extra business that we had. But we would only bring in people's, children or anybody living within their household, which tend to be a couple of generations. So anything that we could do to keep it all protected, but
it also protects your employees, though, in the sense, not just from the virus, it protects them from unemployment. And the money goes back into those houses. They don't lose. You're protecting your people. So when this is over, they remember, you remember, and it's
a lot of them work in nursing homes. A lot of them work doing cleaning and stuff like that. And so it was hard. We had a few that worked at Amazon, and and it's not so much that, say, we pay not as well, but they are a group of people who continue to send money home.
Right.
And so they do everything they possibly can to send money home, which is phenomenal. But they basically live to work, and it's hard.
Man.
Whereas
it's tough to be around. It's tough to watch, and it's, you know, especially when, again, like you said, the three of us are in different boats, right?
Yeah,
You're having to watch. I mean, COVID's been very interesting for a lot of things that way.
You know, I have to say, and you know, I probably because I'm more of an introvert, so this really hasn't been tough, and it was so nice when it was so quiet those first 3 months. You could walk. I remember it was, you know, early mornings. I could walk. There'd be no traffic, and I'd walk with a dog, and everything would be nice and quiet. There's no planes overhead. It was okay. And I have hobbies. My husband has hobbies, so we're okay. We can amuse ourselves. You can, you know, you can sit online all day. Phil, you got your whole family to amuse you. So there are, and but there's so many people that I know that, oh my God, it's so crazy. I don't know what to do, and it's like, I've never been like that. So, and then of course work was so heavy, so it was kind of hard to find time to be bored. I was like, please let us shut down for 2 weeks so I could have time to do some stuff, but didn't happen.
I think Kenny and I laughed about that right at the beginning of this, right? I'm an extrovert, but I haven't. This has been really great. Like you know, it's funny. My daughter, my middle daughter, has she, at the beginning of the pandemic, she picked up a bunch of pretty nice like pajamas, and she just doesn't like. She's perma pajama, right? Like she just, you know, change your top. And so she said to me, why do you change every day? And I said, because I have to, right? And she goes, no, you don't. Just throw on a top, right? Like, and after a week of this, I was like, oh my God, I'm losing this battle. Like, I'm gonna, like, I don't have any hair right now, but otherwise I'd probably start showing up disheveled and just like, I just woke up.
I do that for meetings. Like I get up in the morning and I have to do this. Like I'm thinking, oh, fuck, that's not too good. I have to put headphones in to keep it down. Like I got a haircut tonight too, like you did. It looks Phil. But I got to keep this under control.
When you're vain, you know, you don't want to look like that. I can't just show up and have my hair yanked back and just like, no makeup and stuff. No, I'm not going to tell you what's a bit from here down, but you know, at least from here up, you know.
I look as bad on the top as I do on the bottom. I was consistent. I think I wore a collared shirt twice, and I got way too many comments to the point I thought that's stupid. Everybody notices what I'm wearing. I'm in t-shirts all day.
We did look. I was in one of those. When you were wearing a collared shirt, and I gotta tell you, man, like it was surprising. It was a nice surprise. And I don't think we were really making fun of you. It was just very surprising, right? Like, you know. It's
funny though, because a lot of the clients that we've seen, that's kind of the reason why, because I had to laugh, because once we weren't allowed to see anybody, we still don't let people in the plant. But once we weren't allowed to see anybody, all of a sudden these people just had to Zoom. Everybody had to Zoom. It's like, okay, you know, we've done our business for the past 2 or 3 years, all on email. Barely even a phone call. And all of a sudden they just felt compelled that they need to see somebody else, and then you got to see, and it's like, oh, what do you got in the back there? What kind of living space do you have? And it's funny, we had some guy that you could see he was in like a stairwell, and almost it was like he had this wide, and that's all he could move, and you'd see somebody, everyone's in their bedroom sitting on their bed with the, you know, because it's the only quiet place in the house. It was, and then none of them were dressing up. I was like, why am I dressing up for the client when they don't give a monkeys about what they look like for me?
I think people just wanted to have the contact, because I think what also, you know what it taught us, like I didn't use a lot of Zoom at all. I didn't use any Zoom before that. You know why? It just sounded complicated, Linda. And I thought, you know what? I don't want to download this software shit and then have to phone Phil and figure out how to use it. And I'm not interested, right? Then you figure out how easy, you're thinking, you know what? At least I'd rather, instead of talking on the phone or email, I'm just Zoom you to see how you're doing.
It's nice to see the face, though. It's nice to see the interaction, because it's funny. I enjoy it because you can read what people are doing, because I have clients who you can see when you have like the Brady Bunch version on your screen, and you can see some of the people who are like, it's like, you know, there's a camera on you. You know,
they're doing this, like you can see that. You can see this look.
Don't pick your nose now. You wait till you're off the call, like, for the love of God.
And get off that phone Okay, I can see you typing because I can see your fingers moving. Okay, stop now.
They put it on mute, or they put it on, take the video off. I had to laugh. I was watching the news one morning, and they were doing, someone was having obviously a Zoom meeting with some expert of some sort, and he was yaddling away, and all of a sudden he had a fake background, like one of the ones you can superimpose behind.
Yeah.
And a man, all of a sudden you see a naked man behind, obviously his boyfriend or something. These were older gay gentlemen. And all of a sudden you see his backside, and as what, rewind that. I want to see what that was.
That's so funny.
He's walking around and walking behind him and stuff like that, and none the why there. And then afterwards the news, the people in the anchor desk are going, congratulations to you for not losing it while that was going on, because all of a sudden then they started looping some videos. Like, of course, when they finally clued in that there's a naked man running around, because he must have just gotten out of the shower, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
That's so
funny. My gosh.
That's so funny.
That's so crazy.
You know, it's bad enough the dog joins in the meetings. My boss is based out of Seattle, so he's not allowed up here, obviously, and so we have been Zooming every day for the last 9 months, and it's been good because it's for me, it's nice to see people, and then we can have our meetings rather than, I'm an excessive emailer, I've been told. And
well, at least you know.
So, well, because I want an answer and I want it now. And so I respond so quickly to clients, and they're always like, oh my God, you answer so quickly. But if I don't get the answer really quickly, I get really mad. Oh. So
boss has got an impatient streak to her.
Didn't realize that.
I didn't know that either. I'm gonna have to write that down.
Yeah, I thought she was much more patient than other people.
Okay.
No. But yeah, so needless to say, it's been really interesting. But I literally just did finish doing my business plan for next year, and we had to take a look back and see where that business came from, where the extra business came from, and who were the ones that were kind of coming out of the ashes and stuff like that. So it was really an interesting exercise, breaking it down exactly who was buying the hand sanitizer, who's going to do it again, who's got the chops. We actually had a client that they did a contract for Boeing. So first you thought, well, who's gonna this was early stages. We've been doing this stuff all along. We got like one order a year, and it's like, big deal. So all of a sudden they're ordering like eight orders in a row.
Wow.
And it's like, well, nobody's flying. What's Boeing going to do with this stuff?
Yeah.
And so it was interesting to see how, I don't know what they did with it. Then there's all these rumors about Purell was buying up all the hand sanitizer in the world, because they were only servicing institutions. They weren't that, and that's what started everything, to be honest.
Right.
Purell and One Step, the major people who make all the hand sanitizer, were
they got really restricted.
Basically, they said, that's it. You're retail. You're not getting any. It's only going to hospitals, and that's the end of that. And so it took them quite some time to get back into the retail sector. But of course, then they went back with their normal pricing, because they make whack loads of this stuff, and they can, they can make it for cheap. Not everybody else can do it. No one's set up for that, really, in Canada, especially.
No. Yeah.
Even in Vancouver, we have so few companies that can do NPN products as it is. But then you have people like AG Hair, who stepped up and got their site license and decided to make hand sanitizer. I can pretty much guarantee you they're sitting on a whole lot of hand sanitizer right now. They did a whack load of it. I even see it in London, and it was it's good for them, because they're in the professional hair care industry. Hair salons shut down, so who's buying? Nobody's buying anymore. So it was interesting, but it was really, in the very, very beginning, it was like, oh my God, what's this going to do to us? And then it's like, oh my God, what has this done to us? And so
what do you learn from it, Linda? What do you see next year, and what did you learn from this year that makes you more cautious or more optimistic, or whichever way?
Yeah, I have questions on this too, because I'm starting to do this with some of my brands, and I'm scared.
I'm kind of curious. I want to see what you're thinking.
Yeah.
We were talking about, you guys were just talking about this last podcast. You were saying about I'm a brutally honest person. I'll tell you if you're doing something stupid and crazy. When we were starting to do the hand sanitizer, it didn't seem so crazy at the time because we knew everybody was doing it. And so everyone's like, we're thinking, this is what you're going to face up, and you're not going to get the pricing, and this is how you're going to. And they go, no, I know it. I know somebody. I know somebody that wants it, and everybody knows somebody. But the problem is everybody else knew that same somebody, and some people could get it to them for cheaper, or exactly, and that was a challenge. So if we come across this again next year, it's going to be very interesting to see, because we're still suffering from packaging issues now. Ingredients are fine now. Everybody's sitting on a lot of ingredients, so that part we don't have to worry about. What we have to worry about is the packaging, because there's no pumps in this world. So what it has to be, someone's really got to understand that this is the price you're going to get. You're not going to be able to make it. We're not going to be able to make it personally for the price that you think that you can sell it for, or what your buyer is going to want to do. And the people who are going to be successful in this, if we have to do another round of hand sanitizer, those people, unless they're doing it for charity, they have to have solid contracts in place. Right. Otherwise, if they didn't secure that business this year, next year, forget it, because
not the year to bet on it.
No, it's not anymore. And it's also, in my opinion, I think we're using too much hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
You have some people even that do some niche ones and some niche type packaging. We have, I won't show you the brand, but oh yeah, no one's watching this, right? So this is one of the brands that we have, and they went out to Brazil and got these types of tubes where it's actually quite nice.
Yeah.
It's a foam tube?
Yeah.
No, it's just it's a tube with a pump.
Yeah.
But you know what? Again, costly.
Apparently from Brazil, it's not too bad.
Yeah. But what's it done for the other products, Linda? Like, you got a supply chain issue because of caps, lids, pumps for hand sanitizer. Yeah. Hand sanitizer are going to be dead. The three of us know that. We've seen this before. Yeah. Once this sort of calms down, the vaccine kicks in, and hopefully this goes away. Hand sanitizers are going to. Yep. They're just going to fall. They're not going to go back to normal. Probably a little bit more than normal, because I think
they're going to go back to normal.
To some degree, maybe on this one, because this was freaked out.
SARS was the same thing. Like,
SARS was not as big as this, though, Phil. That's why I'm thinking.
Yeah, but this was this is global, I think.
So it may be like base.
Okay,
plus a little.
Fine. I'll give you 10. Some, but
base plus 10.
It doesn't stay as big as.
No, it's not even going to be close to that. But what has it done for other product lines, or other products?
I think. But what it's done is there are still some niche people. The online e-commerce, that's where it's taken off, and so if people are able to have a good online presence, those are the ones that are doing really well. And so some of the ones that were kind of halfway there, it forced them to move a little bit quicker to get their act together on this. And that's, unfortunately, that's where I see a lot of it going. We do a lot of our clients are all online. So a lot of e-commerce, those are the ones that did well. And they just had to bricks
and mortar is going to be a problem with it, because you couldn't go into stores.
Yeah.
So how are you going to buy all this stuff? But people got to get out of this product line ultimately, though. So what's next, though? What else are you guys going to build outside of bloody hand sanitizer? Because you guys got to figure out how you're going to comp some of this mess. We
have, like I said, we have a large retailer across Canada that has seen this happen, because their retail stores closed, and a lot their ones in the US have shut down, period. And whereas it wasn't so bad in certain parts of Canada here, but they had to pivot, and they had to pivot very quickly into a bigger e-market, e-commerce for them. And that's where everybody seems to be working. We had a lot of, because some of our products are topical analgesics that are used in physio clinics. And so those were shut down for a while, but now a lot of people that stuff is picking up. So some of these guys are out there literally delivering it by hand and trying to build their business that way again. It's a grind. Well, it is. It's just like being the road warrior again, and trying to schlep your crap out there with your. It's
so much work, though.
Vacuum cleaner salesman out there, all the brush salesmen. So it was a huge awakening for a lot of these people, and so we had one or two that just basically crashed and burned, and because they couldn't pivot on the e-commerce sites. So that was hard to see, but like I said, surprisingly, we had some clients who were building up all their business, and this was the time that they took to build up their business, get all their formulations going, get all their label designs, get all that stuff done. They're picking unique products, and because a lot of them are cosmetic, you're using little glass jars. So you're using packaging that wasn't going to affect. Tubes were never affected, so a lot of people move into tubes. So some of them actually came out on the better end of it.
Okay,
you know.
Interesting.
So yeah, and again, some weren't so lucky, but the ones who knew what they were doing, I think fared fairly well. Used their time wisely while they were at home working 24 hours a day. And that's I think that benefited them to a certain degree, those people who just started working at home and concentrating on this business more.
I think I worry, the part in all of that I worry about, like the pandemic, you know, for humankind has been bad, right? Like, you know, mortality rates, the sickness. For commerce, it's been amazing for the most part, right? Manufacturing in particular. I guess I worry, like, you know, whether it's hand sanitizers or every other brand. So today, you know, we did I looked at some volumes for a brand I work with. Their pandemic effect, if you want to call it that, is a 50% rise in sales, month over month, right? Like they show 50% growth month over month from the time the pandemic, like February started. They're Canadian based, until their kind of high season, you know, which is now, right? Like their seasonal product, winter is their time. So now, you know, they're into 120, 150% growth, that sort of thing. But I look at it next year, and naturally the business will go, oh, great. You know, so we grew, I don't know, whatever that blended rate, we didn't get there, but like the blended rate will be something like plus 27, plus 75-ish, right, for the year. So next year we should be able to grow, what, another 30 or 40? And I kind of went, where and how? Like,
until March 12th.
You know, we didn't do anything to drive more business at the beginning of the year. Are you just expecting people to continue to show up in March, like when we can go back out again? Or let's say it even lasts till September before we can all go out again. But
I have friends thinking that way, Phil, though. I have friends thinking that way. They think that, well, you know what? More people maybe have tried the product, used the product. You know what? Well, especially the food guys. Oh, yeah, listen, I'm thinking, you're right. But that's because we couldn't do anything else.
But that's a crazy base to build off of.
Oh, to me, it's a crazy
base.
But there's also more disposable income too, because I didn't take my vacation, because I wasn't driving, I didn't have to put money in the car. I've got cheaper insurance. And so that's going to be an interesting thing as well, because people aren't necessary, because all of a sudden one day we're going to be free. And
my dear, when we can buy plane tickets, we are fucking off.
There's not going
and it's the money ain't going to stay in Vancouver, because we're going somewhere hot. So honestly, to your point, is that money's not going to necessarily just come back. All those increases in any of the health supplements or any of the HABA products, home delivery might still stay a little strong, but restaurants are going to pick up. It's going to change. It's not going to, maybe not go back to what it was, but it's definitely not going to hold. So if you're hanging on to the dream that we're going to replicate March, April, May, June, July, guys, man,
I'm really worried about that, because I
don't know how you're basing that. I think you're delusional.
There's no sanity check in there unless you've got someone in the organization going, well, wait a second, right? Because if you think of annual planning, you kind of look at this and go, okay, well, where did we finish the year? What do we want to do next year? Well, we're never going back, right? Like it.
Well, nobody's projecting downs. You're not projecting it down, and I think that's. But
you and I did this with a company, right? And then they came up saying and said, okay, well, you know, if we did 30% growth this year, we're not going to do the same next year. Maybe we're aiming for like 5 or 6% growth, right? Which sounds really absurd. But if you don't have people in the organization who are going, guys, sanity check, like it's 5% on top of 30% we grew. It's not actually just 5%,
it's
right?
Not
like
5%.
You know, like.
You're right.
It's not 5% because that 30 was going to be a 5.
I'm really worried about that. Like, I think
I agree.
brands are going to step into this, and next year, like that might be the thing that nobody sees, right? Is next year the economy crashes because we're all kind of over, like halfway through the year, you're going, I got to lay people off because it's
not going to be halfway though, Phil. That's the thing. It's going to come literally March 13th, and I'm being serious. Yeah. Yeah. March 12th, we go into shutdown, lockdown, more or less, whatever you want to call it. Toilet paper, all that stuff flying off the shelves. From March 12th to March 30th, 2021, you think that's going to happen?
No, not at all.
So all those millions of dollars of sales that everybody thinks they're going to comp, and all the employees are going to go back to work because we had 50 trillion hours production in stores, wherever. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
it ain't gonna happen.
You resource for 35-40% more than you currently do because you're thinking, well, I'm going to grow that much, right?
It's not going to happen.
So that's like people.
And that's exactly when I was looking at my business. I was looking at, this is what I did in new sales. This portion of the business was topicals or skin creams and stuff like that. This chunk of the business was all hand sanitizer. Yeah. I know that this guy is going to be successful here, but I've lost this business here because I'll never see that again. And even still, those people, if something happens again next year and there's people going, oh my God, I need a hand sanitizer, that chunk of people that was stupid enough to do it in the first place, they're not coming back because they're going to go, one's been twice shy.
There's warehouses full of it anyway, Linda. There's so much hand sanitizer sitting on pallets in garages and lockers, in warehouses. There is no need to produce hand sanitizer in 2021.
Between that and face masks.
There's lots.
Probably not for a couple of years, to be honest.
Well, I remember we lasted almost 2 years after SARS. I'm serious.
We never made hand sanitizer. Well, years ago, back in before my time, remember there was a company called Alda, I think it was, and they were based in BC, and they got the contract for 2010 Olympics.
Yeah.
And because I remember I was at Pharma Science at the time, and I remember that's when we had SARS at 2010. Was that what we had then? We had something because
we had swine flu or
it was
H1N1.
H1N1, that's what it was, yeah.
Which sounds terrible. It didn't pan out.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a bad choice of words, but that's sort of what it was for.
Yeah. But I still remember we were, even we had a sales conference in Montreal, and there was thousands of us, and we're all going, oh yeah, we'll save ourselves by tapping elbows. Yeah, you're going, oh yeah, tapping someone on the elbow. Logic in that really doesn't make sense, but it's going forward, and it was for us again, it was a lesson to understand, when there's all the panic buying and the things that, if someone comes to me and says, I want to make this, for the most part, we'll say, this is the obstacles you're going to face, because I'm going to be honest with you, and this is what I see going on. And they go, no, I can do this, and so forth. I actually still have a couple of open POs for some funky ones where but they're more niche, where they're loaded with lovely essential oils and stuff like that, and so forth. But it's more those two again will be one-hit wonders. But
it's a different market though too. That one, again, but it's small. I mean, you can't bank on it, man.
It's one batch of 50,000 units, and that's the end of that. And it's just and that 50,000 units is going to take quite some time to get, because a lot of the people were buying. I haven't got any up here. They were just buying the 60 ml bottles because they could crank that out quickly enough. And we had bottles and we had caps. Yeah. Some of these little things we normally don't buy anybody's packaging. It's just, but we don't do that.
Yeah.
But because we actually found someone said, hey, I got, want to buy some bottles. And so we bought 200,000 bottles, and we're just using them now just for filling up for Christmas presents. And that's about it. So it's,
We'll have to talk more toward the end of April, because that's what it's going to be. Yeah. It's that month after March 13th, about April 13th. That's the month where I think there's going to be a lot of people waking up thinking, oh, fuck, where did it go? Yeah. And you're thinking, well, if you had gone back to 2019 and if you did $10 and you were on track to do 12 each month, that's what you would have done. That $20 is a fantasy.
Yeah.
So now you're probably back to the 12 plus $1 or $2, which is what would have been realistic.
Yeah.
Right?
It's funny though to see what
some
people
will
are
do better, and some won't, and some will hit it.
Yeah.
Some will continue to grow.
But what some people are spending their money, some people are spending their money on. I mean, there's a shortage of hair coloring for a little bit there when we couldn't get to the salons and whatnot. And so everyone's out buying root touch-ups and things like that.
Yeah. How long does that last though?
Well, and that's exactly it. So now you see more than enough on the shelves. It's funny because I do like
we can go back to the salon where we wanted to be, because it's nice to sit down and shoot the shit with the person, and you talk about
and have
this,
someone else
and
do
you get
all
out
your
of the
hair
house. That's nice.
Yeah. It's
craziness.
Yeah,
that's gonna be interesting to see what happens. I don't know. I'm gonna be more curious. Like I say, end of April. I think it's gonna be. I think Jan, Feb are gonna be okay. I think coming to March, April, it's going to be interesting, and maybe we'll be okay. Maybe it'll be a lot of people fine. Don't know. Realistically,
I think February is going to be very interesting, just in general, because February is a high suicide month, for example, because of all the bills coming in and stuff like that, and the holidays are over. With people, and I feel very sorry for them, and I just don't know how to relate to it, just because that doesn't affect me. These people who are suffering the depression and the anxieties and things like that related to all this, and so. This is, come February, that's, I love reading statistics.
Take that long. That's the worries, because they're not, the money is not the issue, because not everybody, but people seem to have a little more disposable because you're not doing a lot, but you can't see people now. So if you're depressed on the season because you're lonely already, people who weren't depressed as a normal thing for being lonely are getting lonely. Like my mom and dad are starting to worry. Well, what about crazy thing? Listen, we can't have my brother-in-law over because he hasn't been part of our bubble, and I can't have my brother over because they're on the island and not part of the bubble. You know what? Welcome to 2020 Christmas. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
You want me to yell at God? Well, what do you want me to do? Like, what do you want me to go?
You're also like, it's very long, right? Like we, if we had done this right and we had kind of kept to ourselves.
In the summer, we could have buried this in the summer.
It was Labor Day. It was Labor Day, and
it just fell apart. Then Thanksgiving.
Because right now, then you could be prepping for a family meal. Maybe we would have gotten a little more of a bump after this, but you would have then, been able to see people through Christmas, and then you'd make it through Jan, Feb, right? But now we've had 28 days where we're in this, I don't know, they keep changing the colors, right? But we're a gray zone now, so you can't go out, you're not supposed to go out, you're not to hang out, there is no such thing as bubbles, you stay with your own family and that's it. And we're fairly sure that
you're going into lockdown this weekend, aren't you?
Well, on the 21st is the last day of the gray. Wow. But we're pretty sure that they're going to take the next step because our numbers continue to go.
You're going to the black zone. If black's after gray, you're going into black.
Today, like it's insane, right? So
Monday, you guys are shut down, my friend.
Yeah, we expect that they're going to shut everything down, right? So we're going to go right back to March again. And so now you're in this, and like, let's be realistic. They're doing it in 30 days. But it's really like 90 days every time they do that, right? Like that's how long it takes to get out.
And right during Christmas, when everybody's already pissed off and angry and freaked out, and to your point,
or lonely and depressed.
All of the above. Yeah.
But again, I think we could have fixed this. We had. What I think is funny
in the UK, and they're saying, well, you can have 5 days of Christmas, and you can visit up to 3 families, and whatever the rules that they have is like, what? So COVID's going to go.
Well, the virus
we're gonna go away for a bit. We'll be right back after this. So
time out.
and it's funny, but I still find it interesting. You look at the prairies, Alberta, Mansask, and you might as well basically take the Midwest of the United States and put all those people in those 3 provinces to see the attitude and why they're in total lockdown and have been for quite some time now. It truly boggles the mind. I mean, we've been very, very fortunate in BC. We're certainly not out of the woods, and we're certainly seeing numbers spike, but we're nowhere near as bad as where everybody else is.
No.
And I don't foresee here any kind of massive lockdown.
Our most populous city is not brutal. Our second most populous city is brutal relative to the most populous city. But even that, relatively speaking, is not brutal. Like our numbers are not great in our province.
Our numbers are brutal.
But
We're averaging 600, 700 a day,
which is a lot.
Which is a lot, but then they have stopped telling you what percentage. What was it? There's the percentage that they report on for those that have tested versus those who were negative. Those who tested positive versus negative. We were hanging like 1 to 2% or something like that. Yeah. And then it spiked, and then they said, oh, we're not counting the numbers right. And I think they just kind of gave up on it.
I sort of watch more what the hospitals are doing. Like in the States, they've got 110,000 people, I think, in the hospitals because of COVID. And this is the part that people don't understand is, you don't want to have to believe in it. You don't want to wear a mask. You want to think that this is a big fucking conspiracy. That's fine. Whatever. Sure. The world's flat too. Whatever makes you happy. Right. But look at the numbers. You got 110,000 people in the hospital. I hope you don't need any surgery. Do not get into a car accident, my friends. Don't fall down some stairs. Don't have anybody that needs anything done because you're not getting into a hospital.
Yeah, put the tattoo on the head.
Because it's a fake news, right? No problem. Yeah. Stay with that thought.
The tattoo and saying, I don't need a ventilator, so don't worry about me because this isn't real.
Yeah, but you didn't believe in it anyway, so really who cares? Stay home.
Yeah.
Craziness.
It's a problem. It's nuts.
Craziness.
Anyway, we went long.
We always do.
So much for business. We talked about COVID and
sorry.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's actually interesting.
Still work. I'm sorry we kept you so long though. That was the talk about Christmas and cookies and eating and stuff like that too.
Oh my God.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I gotta try it the pass. Is it the coffee bar?
Yeah. I haven't even gone down to see it. Did you check it? Did you see
your
it?
Instagram. I saw it on your Instagram.
And I shared it on Facebook. This is so bad to say. I haven't even been to the bar to see this. So I think tomorrow I'm going to wait for Daniel to come home in the afternoon from his workout. I'm going to steal his car. I'm just going to run down to the bar.
Yeah.
His party's got my car, which I know is a shitty excuse. I've heard it from my family, but I'm kind of housebound. I don't have a vehicle. And I'm not walking in this shit weather. Because I'm a little delicate. I've been in home now for 9 months. I'm still cold.
What's the weather out there? I'm sorry.
Piss pouring rain.
And cold.
Oh man, it was brutal this morning. Like last night, it woke me up. It was raining that hard.
Exactly.
It's just like
it's dangerous to go outside. Yeah.
It's minus 14 here. What do you?
I could slip.
It's 5 Celsius.
If I slip outside, I could drown.
My feet could get wet.
Me. Kenny, how are you ever going to get a dog?
I don't think we're going to. I think that's going to end.
But remember, he's getting a dog that's a lap dog that didn't need to go for walks.
I don't think we're going to be able to do it. I've lost all the family support, so I think that's done. I think the dog is gone.
Yeah, it's like gearing up for war. Like Kathy and I went out this morning and it was minus 14. So I layer. The dog has a little jacket. The dog's done, right? She's whimpering by the door because she's just like, are we going ever? And Kathy and I are like, oh, scarf and another hat and gloves,
umbrella hat.
Like where are the other gloves are? Like,
it's funny.
At least you're not carrying an umbrella and a flashlight to watch in the dark so you know where to pick up the poop.
I know. Well, we still do that. Or I use my phone. I'm looking around because I can't, you can see it when she's pooping, and then as soon as she's done, you're like, "Wait, where'd it go?" Like, I'm sure it was just there. Like, oh man,
gentlemen, it was a pleasure.
Nope, thanks, Linda, for coming on as usual. That's very
Linda,
nice of
the
you.
lady boss. We are
spend a little time with us.
It's fun. It's nice. Yeah. It's a shame that we can't do this in person with some biscotti and a cup of cocoa.
Those days are coming. They're not. This is not going to last forever.
Nope, and it's the least we can do, right?
Exactly. Absolutely.
Before we go, I have one idea.
Shoot.
You're the brain trust, so I think this is a good. I was thinking that for New Year's, because this is actually our Christmas episode, right? Because we're not going to do one. Are we?
No, we're recording next week.
We have one more next week, and then I was thinking that like the week of New Year's, we should.
Between New Year's, like between Christmas and New Year's, or after?
Between Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah.
We should host an open house. And so like all of the people who have been on the show before can just stop by. Like you don't need to stay on. You can like call in and say hello and tell us what's going on and then like book out so you can go holidays. I think that'd be really fun.
That's
you're the techie.
You had some really I kudos to you guys. You had some really, really interesting folks this year. And
thank you.
It always just so thought provoking. It's like, oh yeah. And then you think of all these people who this could apply to, and it just kind of really makes you go, And so you got it's not what you know, right?
Sometimes, right? Sometimes it's just all about who you know and how they can help out.
But I think we should do that, and then we should just send an email to everybody going, hey, you were on the show. We would love for you to come by. We'll put it out. I mean, if you're a listener and you want to come by and hang out, we'd love that too. Maybe we, Kenny, on yours and my end, it might be a couple of hours of us just hanging out and then seeing.
Phil, as long as you send me an invitation that I can click to, I'm on.
Yeah, you got it.
I'm all good.
Boss lady, you'll join us as well.
I will be there with bells on. Well, not real bells, but
well, it's Christmas. You never know.
Real bells. We won't judge you.
They're down here. The bells are down there.
Do whatever you want.
Whatever makes you happy.
Exactly. Whatever makes you happy.
Oh my God.
Oh, good.
Amazing. Linda, thank you so much.
Linda, thank you very much. As
my
always.
pleasure. And hopefully we'll see some of you soon, one day. And if not,
maybe meet you at the coffee bar for pasta.
So how does it not smell like coffee beans?
My dear, I have not been to the bar. I have no idea.
Okay.
We're going to find out. By the time I get there, we'll find out together.
Sounds good. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Linda.
Bye, Linda.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Bye.
Oh, well. So,
Buddy, that was fun.
It's nice to talk to Linda.
Yeah.
Nice to talk to Linda. She's going to have it's an interesting industry in their part, too, because I think, honestly, the comping of sales is going to be a challenge for anybody in CPG, to be very frank with you. Anybody in CPG. And I don't care what category it's in. I don't care if it's categories that you and I sort of dabble with now. I've got friends in a ton of different CPG sides of this world. We've had people on the show. It's going to be interesting. And I think it's I know none of us ever want to plan for downs or plan to not comp. And I get all that, but you really have to put this year in perspective. And I just think this is not even the last one was 103 years ago.
Yeah.
Sorry. I mean, it's the reality. I don't know how, and I want to be optimistic about the spring, and I think there's going to be a lot of good spots to be optimistic about, but I think reality is also going to, I think it's pretty hard.
I think that, but this one, this one also transcends your kind of normal account manager or brand, like this is a leader of the business sort of thing where you need to go, look, we need to grow. We have shareholders to answer to, but we also need to take a cut of realism at this, right? We got a COVID plus 30, plus 50%, whatever the industry you're in, they're all starting to call these numbers. And you got to look at it and go, let's be real. Can we comp that number or not, right? And if the answer is no, then you have to, next year is going to be the year to call it, right? Like, because you really can't resource like that. Now you're screwing around with other people's lives, right? Is how many people do we hire extra? All those things that, like if it doesn't materialize and you miscall that, you're going to let people go in the middle of the year.
You're going to be sitting with other issues too. You could be sitting with inventory.
All of those
was
things.
3 months, then now is 9 months.
Yeah.
Now your cash flow screwed.
Yeah.
You could have AR issues, AP issues.
All of the above, actually.
And maybe we'll get horseshoes up our ass, and a lot of it's going to be good. But I've done enough of these over the years. Obviously never through a pandemic, but I definitely remember what SARS and H1N1 did, and it was definitively a challenge when the numbers started to come to comp time, and they weren't pandemics. I think SARS was a pandemic, but not like this beast. And not this long. Again, so it's tough to say, Phil. I mean, in some of these industries, people, it may have changed people enough where, maybe the eating at home thing will stick. for a while longer. And maybe, you know what, we're not too sure about restaurants for the next year and a half. And maybe we'll have more dinner guests when we're allowed to sort of do that again. So maybe there's going to be some of that. But in a lot of those other industries, I don't know, man.
Yeah,
I think travel might rebound quicker than we think, because I think we're all dying to get on planes. But even then, I don't know.
Travel's going to go nuts, to be honest. And
I do too.
Maybe that's part of the saving grace, right? Is if it's a
get tourists back in the city,
inter-country transfer, right? So Americans that want to come here, or
dollar's good for them. Maybe they would all come up here. They start dropping a ton of money, so that we're not floating our own economy. We have other people help us float it. So
100%, we're taking our tourist dollars, and
we're probably going elsewhere, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, I think we're gonna race you guys on
we're heading to some. I think but again, there are people that are going to be coming here, so maybe that's to your point. Maybe, you know what? Maybe it does. You know what? Maybe that is the washout. Maybe the fact that it's going to be tough to comp if we stay in the same situation. But if things do open up and we're allowed to move around this world, maybe it does change the game. Yeah. So maybe it's
hopefully
okay.
I mean, fingers crossed, right?
Or maybe habits have changed.
Yeah.
Maybe they really have. I don't know.
Don't know.
That's the problem. I think that's what the fear is I don't know. I don't know how to bet on it. And I'm much more happy I'll bet your money before I bet mine. What's that?
Yeah, I agree.
And on that note.
I agree, man.
Hey, man, it's an hour and 20. We've lost people 25 minutes ago.
Oh, yeah, that's true, huh? Oh, my gosh. It's awesome.
Okay, my friend. You have a nice weekend, and I think we're on
Tuesday.
I
think it's Tuesday, yeah.
Yes, we are. Awesome.
Yeah. That'll be cool. That's a nice interview right before.
He's a nice guy too. You'll like him. He's a nice guy.
Yeah. Okay. Cool, buddy.
Boy.
All right. Take care.
You too, man. We'll chat soon. Ciao.
Okay. Ciao.